Welcome to your Optimal Personal Economy podcast with Justin Bennett. Your personal economy is your ability to create, protect, preserve, and utilize your wealth, your financial world. Justin will share strategies and stories to help you optimize your personal economy. Now, on to the show with Justin Bennett and co-host Matt Halloran.
Hello and welcome to another podcast with Justin Bennett. Today we're going to talk and ask a very deep philosophical question that has some interesting financial ramifications, which is, doesn't everybody want the same thing? And Justin, you have to deal with this all the time because I think people do come into their financial services profession like yourself and expect that, everybody wants what I want. So tell me about this.
Yeah, what I've learned over being in this business for a long time, Matt, is that it's very, very easy to find ourselves sitting with clients and having conversations about what their financial world looks like. And then we start to say, okay, like, what are your objectives? Like, what do you want out of money? What do you want out of life? And what I started to realize is one of two things: either by asking those questions or that question, we end up putting the client at a tremendous disadvantage because there's just a lack of understanding of what we mean by that. Or B, the ones that do answer, they all answer with the same response, right? So the responses, are, hey, I've got obviously a growing family and a growing business, so I want to make sure that they are protected forever, right? So it's not like there's a point in time where all of a sudden I'm going to wake up and not want, my family, my business, or the wealth from my business protected, right? So everybody wants that. Then, the other things that we talk about is when people are creating wealth, they want as much wealth as they possibly can, obviously, right? Like that would kind of be silly if somebody wanted, as little wealth as they can, and they were still working to make an income, right? Because if somebody wanted as little wealth as they possibly can, they would work for free. And people want to typically make sure that the life of their children is better than the life that they lived, to the extent that they can do it without damaging the child's, objectives and lifestyle and decisions and trajectory. And ultimately, they want to be in a position to make sure that when they do exit this planet, that they're not only remembered, by the one upcoming generation, but maybe by 2 or 3, or in some cases 4 generations. And so, I think that's not just by leaving a ton of money, but rather, helping the ability to influence upcoming generations on how they want to operate in a personal family setting and how they want to operate in a business setting. So listen, I think we all want the same thing. I just think that sometimes, we as planners, so to speak, we find ourselves in a situation that if we don't present that question, then we're not going to know what our clients want, right? I mean, and if the people that I end up talking to want something other than those things, which certainly is possible, I think we're probably not going to be the right fit to help them with their planning, because obviously all of those things happens to be the common denominators among all of our clients, including us, right? So we have a lot of similarities. So we all want as much as goodness and health and wealth and success and safety and protection for our family, for our businesses, for our money. And so therefore it's common, it's universal. Does that make sense, Matt?
It absolutely makes sense. And I like it, once again, that you're talking about it being a very judgment-free zone, but there are some consistencies within the clients that you specialize in working with. Something that you said piqued my attention a little bit, which is the idea that people can do planning, and maybe this is something that they do really, truly want, and that's multi-generational stuff. Would you mind just showing us under the hood of that level of either questioning or planning to help people be able to plan for 2 to 3, maybe even 4 generations down the road?
Sure. So let's just jump right in. I've got 4 or 5 situations that I'm working on right now. And the way that we do this, Matt, is we sit down, we have a conversation around what life is expected to look like between now and when somebody gets to kind of their point of distribution, or rather when they're working because they want to work and not because they need to work. Okay, so we spend time around what's expected over the next X amount of years and what that's going to look like. And once we're able to see that the capital that's likely to be on the balance sheet of that person at that point in time is far in excess of what they'll truly need or want for the retirement years or for distribution planning, then we start to, have the conclusion or the conversation that it's now about doing planning, okay, for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 generations, because we know that it's not going to be at the expense of our own lives, right? Because people typically don't want to feel as though there's the potential to sacrifice their current life. And so once we're able to help them, educate them, help them realize that their lives will never be compromised or sacrificed, then they start to look further. They look deeper. They look beyond who they are. They look to recognize that the world in which they live is much bigger than just them. And then they start to realize, that there's going to be these lessons, these points that they want to make, this way of being to their kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, et cetera. And so we just start to have conversations around, what that means to them. And I think that conversation in and of itself is never had by a planner, because a financial planner is looking to, steal all their investment money, and I shouldn't say steal, but hold on to their investment money and try to get them a high rate of return that may or may not happen, and call themselves a planner. Obviously, investment management, as we've talked in the past, is extremely critical. It's one of the things that we do extremely well, but we do it in the context of an overall plan. So this conversation that we're having here, Matt, when executed in the context of an overall plan, tends to be something that the consumer has never had. They've never been experienced to this conversation. No one's ever brought it up, and they didn't otherwise think about it. So it's a big, powerful conversation. And oftentimes when we get on the topic, it's a very enjoyable conversation.
I think it would be a magnificent conversation to have. How much fun would it be to sit down with somebody, and after, the initial fact finding is done, somebody like you can sit down and say, hey, you're going to be okay. And guess what? Your grandkids, we can start doing that level of planning. How empowering that must be to your client base.
It's awesome. I mean, it's so much fun. It's very, very enjoyable. And I think the more we can do it, it makes us different in the marketplace, right? Obviously, we're clearly different in all aspects. We might as well be different in this aspect too.
Sure. And again, it gets back to the conversation. And I have so much respect for you when it comes to that. You're changing the conversation surrounding, what planning truly looks like for your client. So, closing thoughts on this, which today we talked about, doesn't everybody want the same thing?
I think that if people can learn that they can get what it is that they want, not at the expense or not by sacrificing some other domain in their life, then we're able to help clients understand that they can win. And we want everybody to win, because when everybody wins, we win. And that's really, really critical.
Fantastic closing thoughts. Justin, thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Matt.
Make sure you click that subscribe now button below. And if you know anybody who would like to have this multi-generational conversation, please make sure that you reach out to Justin Bennett and his team at Bennett Financial Group. So for everybody at Bennett Financial Group, this is Matt Hallern, and we'll see you on the other side of the mic very soon.